Hey, here we go again, family, friends, and fellow movie lovers. Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to a monstrous edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. In this video, I will be reviewing the movies that were released on July the 13th, 2018. So the first movie that I'll review is Skyscraper, rated PG-13. It stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Neve Campbell, and was directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, who already brought you such films as Dodgeball, We're the Millers, and Central Intelligence. Now, before I begin my review, can I just say, first of all, that nobody churns out big-budget, mediocre action films on a regular basis nowadays than The Rock. I mean, just 3 months ago, I was reviewing for you all that giant gorilla gone bananas flick, Rampage, and I gave it a mediocre review, a C. And then a couple months before that, I was reviewing Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, which also starred The Rock. There were some couple fun moments, but mostly it was mediocre. I gave that a C+. And now we got Skyscraper, the latest big-budget, mediocre action film starring The Rock. I mean, I've said this a couple times before, but I'm thoroughly convinced, again, that the Hollywood executives are always going over these scripts and oh, another lame action film. Oh, let's just put The Rock in it and automatically make money with the public. I mean, unfortunately for them, Skyscraper didn't even make #1 at the box office that weekend, so wah wah. Poor The Rock has stuck again in another movie. But let's go forth anyway. First, the plot. So we're introduced to our main character, Will Sawyer, played by The Rock. In the opening scene, we find out that he's a leader of an FBI hostage rescue team. And he's in the middle of trying to rescue someone from a terrorist, and he's got a bomb, which goes off, and he fails at his mission, and he wakes up in the hospital, and part of his leg is gone, and he has to wear a prosthetic leg for the rest of his life. But he also, at that hospital, meets a nurse named Sarah, played by Neve Campbell. And they hit it off right away. And 10 years go by, and they're now married, and they have 2 kids, a twin boy and girl. And as the movie starts off, we realize that now Will is now accesses security for skyscrapers. That's his new job. And currently, he and his family are in Hong Kong because they're living inside the Pearl, which is the tallest skyscraper in the whole world. It's 225 stories tall. Wow, that's tall. And they're currently living on the 96th floor, I think, remember? Yeah, and he's been hired there by the chief financier of the tower, of the Pearl. Chow Long-ji is his name. I think I butchered that. But anyway, he brings Will Sawyer to access the security systems, and he thinks everything's all a go after many trials. And then we briefly the audience gets to see a bit of the building and see all of its cool penthouses and the top floor, and how the floor goes away into a hologram, so you can actually look like you're walking on top of the sky. Oof, that's a cool moment. And he gives Will a tablet of all their systems, and only his face can access it. And so, good luck to you, and you can stay here and make sure our security goes well while we continue finishing the rest of our construction. Now, it seems all happy and merry, but of course, this is an action film, so it's not going to stay that way. And no sooner do you say, keep my building safe, and that's a terrible code word, a masked assailant accosts Will and takes his tablet away. Uh-oh. And we find out that there's an international terrorist named Botha, and, he tried to extort money from the skyscraper years ago, and Chow Long-ji was able to create a memory card to make sure that, he can't steal money anymore from them, because then it won't be able to get laundered. And so, this terrorist comes back, and with the tablet, they're able to cut off the security systems, and they're able to ignite fire to the 96th floor, yeah. And, it's a wall of fire, so anyone above the 96th floor can't get back down, or the elevator or the stairs, so they're trapped up there. And meanwhile, that's exactly 1 floor above is where his family is, Will, and he has to do what he can to rescue them to get up there, but he can't use the elevator or stairs, so he's got to use a crane, and he has to climb all the way up, and he has to run across that crane all the way to jump into a window, and it's the whole time you're watching, come on. I mean, you're The Rock and all, but this is superhero crap, and you're not a superhero, and it's you can only suspend your belief for so long before it's okay. And exactly why the bad guys were doing this in the first place, I'm still not exactly sure what the whole idea was. I mean, I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm not even sure what nationality they were: English, Austrian, Scandinavian, I don't know. And of course, can he get up to the top floor and save his family and save the day overall? Um, can I just say, start off? Probably I should start off with the pros since there's not too many of them. One pro, of course, is The Rock. I mean, really, he's an all-around star, isn't he? I mean, he really can do no wrong when you give it a script. Like he's gonna have charisma for days. And he's gonna be able to perform these action scenes and deliver some witty one-liners. And also, there's some couple suspenseful moments in the movie, where he's hanging off the building, or you wonder if he's going to make it, and you're like, "Oh, is he? Is he?" And you're left on the edge of your seat briefly. And there's a couple moments like that. That was nice. But overall, what's stopping me from giving this any more pros is that you can tell that this movie was influenced by The Towering Inferno and Die Hard, and unfortunately, the moments that made those movies work are not present here. And let me explain. First of all, there's no memorable villain like Hans Gruber, who was played by the late Alan Rickman in Die Hard. That was a great, character that he played. And the villain is just so like one-dimensional and not even memorable. I don't know who the actor who played him or his character's name. I think is Botha. I'll briefly remember that. And other parts, there are moments where you're, like I said earlier, that where he's doing all these crazy death-defying stuff, but you're like, okay, just because he's The Rock, he's jumping from stuff and he's flying over high heights, and at one point he's like hanging off the building, but just by his prosthetic leg, and you wonder, come on, there's only so many times you can cheat death before you're just like clocking out. It's like I checked out like half hour before it was over, practically, and there's not too much great humor or great dialogue. It's clunky, clunky dialogue and clunky editing at times, and I mean, there's some, like I said, some nice moments with The Rock and suspenseful moments, but that's about the long and short of it. I mean, when you're ripping off Die Hard this badly, you better be at least as good as Die Hard, if not better. Otherwise, you're gonna fail miserably, and that's exactly where this movie went. Overall, I give this one a C minus. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm pretty much sick of all these like mediocre action films that keep being offered to The Rock. He can say no, I mean, I don't know why he doesn't. I mean, yeah, C minus. I mean, it's below average at this point. I mean, I'm just not having any more of it. And do I recommend this one to you guys out there? No. Don't bother. I mean, it's already pretty much almost out of theaters anyway as I'm doing this review. So if you want to see it for free on TV, you can. Just that's probably the best way to see it. So don't spend your money on it. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next film that I'll review is of the animated film Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, rated PG. It stars the voice talents of Adam Sandler, Selena Gomez, Andy Samberg, David Spade, Kevin James, Steve Buscemi, and Kathryn Hahn, and was directed by Genndy Tartakovsky, who already brought you the first Hotel Transylvania and the sequel, Hotel Transylvania 2. Now, Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation is the third film in a trilogy after 2012's Hotel Transylvania and 2015's Hotel Transylvania 2. First of all, I've only seen the first and the third film. I didn't really get a chance to see the second one, but a brief synopsis of them all. The first, Hotel Transylvania, introduces us to Dracula, voiced by Adam Sandler. And the first film starts off, he has a wife and a daughter, and his wife is killed by humans, and he detests humans for the rest of his life after that. And so he raises his daughter Mavis, voiced by Selena Gomez, in a hotel that he's created in Transylvania, the Hotel Transylvania, where only monsters can get a vacation from humans, such as friends like the Wolfman and the Frankenstein and Invisible Man and the Mummy, all the monsters from the 1940s Universal monster flicks, And he tries to teach Mavis that humans are not to be trusted, and it leads to an all out where they get daughter hates father, cliche plot, and eventually he realizes he can't protect her forever, and so he starts inviting humans to the hotel. And then the sequel comes around. In the first film she met Jonathan, who is a human backpacker, voiced by Andy Samberg, and in the sequel they get married and have a kid, Dennis, And Dracula's all upset because Dennis doesn't seem to have any vampire abilities, even though he's part vampire. And by the way, Dennis, with his little kid with a giant frock of, red hair, big fro of it, looks a lot like one of the brothers from Brave, a little ripoff there. And anyway, that brings us to Hotel Transylvania 3. So Dracula's, mourning, still mourning the loss of his wife all these years later. He's really lonely, he wants to find love again. And Mavis mistakes that for he's all burnt out and stressful over running the hotel. So she suggests that everybody, the family and all his monster friends, let's all go for a cruise vacation. He's like, why do I have to take a cruise? And so they end up going on a cruise that's bound for the Bermuda Triangle because that's pretty much a paradise for monsters, I guess. And it's there on the ship that Dracula meets Erica, who's the ship's captain, who looks like an animated version of Pink, by the way. And he's all immediately smitten. Makes a bunch of stupid, incoherent noises when he sees her. And it doesn't take long for us to realize that Erica, behind closed doors, has a hidden agenda. She hates monsters. Ooh, she's a human, by the way. And she wants to sail that ship into the Bermuda Triangle because once they get there, she plans to extinguish all the monsters in the world in one fell swoop. Now, overall, unfortunately, just like the other two Hotel Transylvania films, I would describe this film in two words: exceptionally ordinary. And I'll explain why. I mean, it's a nice film, nice films overall. I just feel they're just so ordinary. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, just like the other movies, this movie has a plot, but it's like I just explained it all like very quickly. It's very razor thin plot because most of the movie consists of sight gags. The monsters play volleyball. They do yoga and they do all sorts of ship related activities, and it's just they watch all the sight gags that come about from all that. And that's pretty much about all three movies. It's like a bunch of sight gags, not very imaginative. And there's also a lot of pop culture songs. It's pretty much date your film. I mean, that's not a good thing. I mean, at one point they do the Macarena with a sea monster in this movie, and it's like, the Macarena was so 1997 or 96 and hasn't really, been popular since then. So it pretty much puts your movie stuck there in the 90s. And the voice acting is just fine. They all play their parts perfectly. And there's just not many memorable moments. Like a good memorable animated film would be a Pixar film or an old Disney film or like Shrek or some DreamWorks pictures. But these films I don't think will test the test time. Overall, I mean, I think I would give this film, like the others, or at least the first one. I didn't see the second one, but I'm sure it's a C plus. I mean, it's slightly above average, but I'm sure it'll entertain the littlest of kids. But then those kids will grow up thinking, "What was I thinking?" So for now, if you have kids, you're all a big happy family, and they want to see it, and you all want to see a nice film that the whole family can see and not have to worry about any naughty language or violence or anything, then sure, go ahead and take them to see it. I mean, it's that kind of film. It's just not the kind of film that adults are going to get too much out of because little kids will be amused by the sight gags, and there aren't too many jokes for the adults to get or to enjoy. So yeah, it's for the kids really. So if you got kids, go and see it. If you don't, then no, probably you shouldn't. Go and see it for free when it's available. Just don't pay money for it in theaters. I mean, this is one hotel that you should not check into unless you're the littlest of a child. So let's move on then. All right, the last film that was in wide release on July the 13th was Sorry to Bother You, rated R. It stars Lakeith Stanfield, Tessa Thompson, Danny Glover, and Armie Hammer, and was the directorial debut of Boots Riley. Now, Sorry to Bother You is set in Oakland, California in present day, an alternate reality version of it, remember that. And our main character is Cassius Green, played by Lakeith Stanfield. Cassius is down on his luck. He lives in his uncle's garage, he has no job, and he has a girlfriend named Detroit. Yep, fellow Michiganders, that is her name. And she's played by Tessa Thompson. And Lakeith is not sure what he's going to do with himself, with his life, and then he manages to get a job with Regal View, which is a telemarketing company. And he's trying to sell stuff over the phone he's not good at, and he worries about getting fired from it. And one of his coworkers, Langston, played by Danny Glover, teaches them, listen, if you want to sell, you got to use your white voice. My white voice? Yeah, they're both black, by the way. And he explains, don't you know that the white man voice is confident, it has a carefree affluence? People respond to that when you're trying to sell something. Okay, so he gives it a whirl. He does his best impersonation of a white guy, and he discovers he has a talent for doing a white guy voice. By the way, his white voice is done by an uncredited David Cross. Thought he sounded familiar. And it isn't long before his white voice is helping him sell better, and he's all of a sudden the top seller in the floor. And he's doing it, selling so well for them that they promote him to Power Caller, which is on another floor where they sell different products there. And it's up there. You have to use your white voice only when you're up there. He's like, oh, okay. And it's there. He discovers the new products they're selling worry him. It's actually they are selling products from a company called Worry Free, which is a company where they offer people free food and lodging and all the things they need in life, medical. But the catch is they have to give them a lifetime work contract, so they can't get paid, but they will have everything they provided for them. Some people are against this, protest, say this is slavery, even though he said, no, we provide comfort for you. How is that slavery? We treat you well. And it's not long before Cassius is wondering, am I doing good here? I mean, he's making lots of money, more money than he's ever made in his life, and he now has a new apartment and a new flashy car, and he's impressing his girlfriend and all this stuff. But she's against the whole idea that that this company supports Worry Free because she's one of those protesters. And at one point, Cassius meets the CEO of Worry Free, Steve Lift, played by Armie Hammer, and it's there they discovers a dark, sinister plot that they're plotting. And I can't tell you what it is, but let's say it involves a certain barnyard animal. And it's there they discovers, oh, shit, is my moral fiber going to take over? Should I leave this job? But I have living better than I ever lived in my life. This is exactly what I wanted. Yeah, it's one of those morality tale films. And let me just start by saying that this is probably one of the most original films that I've seen all year long, that a lot of people have, according to critics, because that's the one word I would use for this, original, because there's a lot of parts in this, it's set in alternate reality where crazy things happen. You're like, wow, I've never seen that before. So for that alone, I think this movie is pretty spectacular, and it's also got hilarious moments, and there's a lot of inventive, choices of direction, and the color palette, the cinematography is great, and the script, and it's just crazy good, in my opinion. But because, there are some, like that dark secret that I mentioned, it's one of those moments where you're like, what? You will either buy it or you'll be like, oh my God, this is too stupid. I'm walking out. Yeah, it's a very esoteric film. Like if you're a cinephile like myself who wants to see something that challenges, what a film can do, then you will love this film. But I can understand though, if the mainstream audience, like a lot of you might think, oh, watching, like, why did Jeff recommend this? This is terrible. This plot twist and all this other crap. But that's okay, though, because, it's one of those films that, tries to take risks, and I like that. And, the acting is great, and there's a couple moments where, the plot, the pacing is a little sluggish, and when the black guys do their white voices, I mean, you can tell it's not their voices because the lip syncing doesn't match up. It's like, guys, you can lip sync better, can't you? But other than those minor, cons, this is a great overall entertaining original movie, and for my grade, I think I would give it an A minus. Yeah, I mean, I like that it challenges what a movie can do, and does stuff that you haven't seen. And even though the plot twist is a little, yeah, I mean, I still went along for the ride, and I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. And yeah, so if you want to see a nice independent film that challenges the norms of what film can do, then go ahead and see it. If you're not into, avant-garde kind of films, then probably you don't want to see this. So, depends on what you're into. So I recommend it, but you might not be into avant-garde. So, proceed at your own risk. Moving on. Welcome to the Hotel Transylvania, where we offer the finest accommodations, and you can watch a stunning recap. That was terrible. Recap: Skyscraper, C minus. Another run-of-the-mill mediocre action film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that doesn't do anything interesting except rip off Die Hard and The Towering Inferno. I don't recommend this one, and I really hope The Rock doesn't do any more of these flicks anytime soon. Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, C+. Somewhat entertaining, not very memorable animated film filled with sight gags that will please the littlest child. but not so much the adults. I recommend it for the whole family. Everybody else, no. And finally, sorry to bother you, A minus. Fresh, funny, and entertaining, and one of the most original films of the year. I highly recommend it, but it might be too avant-garde for most of you, so proceed at your own risk. And that'll do it for another monstrous edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody. See you next time.